everyone to our May Beginners Forum with Living Drop Collective. Whether you are brand new to oils, or maybe you're just kind of starting to dabble into them, or maybe you've been using oils for a really long time, whatever the situation may be for you, we are really glad that you're here. So I'm Jill Nelson, and I live in a small town in Iowa. And I have been using oils for almost 1.5 years now. So really it hasn't been too long. I definitely don't consider myself an expert, but I am always learning, and any chance we get, we're using oils at our house, and it's become a huge staple in our wellness journey. So I'm a mom to 4, and so I have lots of opportunities to use oils in my home. I will say that when I started using oils, it was kind of like when I started using doTERRA, actually, it was kind of by random chance. I had been researching oils for a really long time, probably a year. I'd been researching a lot about a different company, and I was nervous to pull the trigger to purchase a kit because I was worried that what if I got all of these oils into my home and I didn't know how to use them? And then a friend in my community here started posting on Facebook about how she was using doTERRA. And I messaged her, and that was it. I bought my kit, and I very confidently use them now because of the support that I get from the Living Drop Collective in this group. So I am excited to be doing this tonight with a couple of other educators here on the LDC. And one of them is Danny Owens. Danny is from Waco, Texas. And she is a mama to 2 little girls, a toddler, and then one that is relatively brand new. So Danny, she has a lot of knowledge regarding just doTERRA babies in general, fertility, hormones. And so in just a second here, she's going to share a little bit about that. But I also wanted to introduce our other panelist. Her name is Michelle Leatherwood, also from Waco, Texas. And she's a mama to 1 and is expecting another baby here very shortly. And she is just really, as I have been learning about her and getting to know her, she's just kind of all things health and wellness, and really just a very holistic mama. And she's a marathon runner, personal trainer. She puts a big focus on mom and kids when she's training holistic health and that holistic training. So I'm excited to be doing this with those 2 other educators tonight. So let's go ahead and get started with you, Danny. Danny's going to share a little bit about her personal journey with her 2 doTERRA babies.
Hi, you guys. So I am Danny Owens on here, but my now name is Danny Harris. So if you ever see me as either, I'm the same person, Jill, it's totally fine. I think on Facebook, I'm still like halfway Danny Owens, and my Zoom account is still under Danny Owens. So I need to still switch everything over. Yeah, I have no excuse to not have everything switched at this point. But to all you others mamas tonight that are putting kids to bed or just got them down, shout out to you, because I just got both my babies down and I think that they'll be good for the night. So Jill touched a little bit about my background on having what I coined 2 doTERRA babies, and I'll give you a little backstory on my kind of fertility journey. I had to write everything down and like go over it again because the years have passed so fast. And so all the way back in 2012, this is whenever I was a junior in college. Well, let's go all the way back whenever I first got my cycle. It was always painful. Like I never knew anything different. And that is something to think about. That is different, and you should get that checked, and it's not normal, but I never knew anything different. I would always have to miss school with a painful period. Nothing was ever like super irregular as far as like the length of my cycle or not getting a cycle. I never had missed periods, but they were always just super painful. So I always dealt with that. And I did get on birth control for a brief period of time, but I always felt icky on it. And I just like intuitively knew that birth control was not something that I should be on. And yeah, always just made me feel really strange. If any of you guys have experienced that, leave it in the chat. We love using the chat within these things. So comment in with whatever we're saying, use your questions, and hopefully we'll get back to you as well. So okay, so then fast forward, it was always like that. In 2012, my junior year of college, I was working at J. Crew, and I started getting like just terrible stomach cramps, like worse than I had ever had. And it wasn't even just around that time of the month. It was like random times. At first, I thought it was like a gluten intolerance, dairy intolerance, cut all that stuff out, reintroduced it. And yes, that did help, but it got to a point where a handful of times I was like going out both ways. And then it got to the point of like blood both ways, like really bad. And so I would even have to go to like the urgent care on our college campus and miss work, and it was just so awful, and I had no idea what was going on. And finally, when I was home for a holiday, got it all checked out, had an ultrasound, and they found a cyst, and I think it was just one at that time. It was fairly small, like they thought it was endometriosis. But if any of you guys have dealt with that, which in the chat, if you will put in if you currently have endometriosis or PCOS or any kind of like ovarian cyst, even if it hasn't technically been diagnosed as one of those things, the doctors technically don't diagnose you until they do like a laparoscopic surgery and can test your cells and stuff. But they told me that it was endometriosis as far as the doctor knew. And basically their only options for me was get back on birth control, get an IUD, or get on Lupron, which sets you into menopause as a, I don't know how old, like 20-year-old going into menopause. I'm just like, and I didn't even know much about that, but just intuitively, again, I just felt like this is not the way to go. This cannot be my only option. And the doctors are only giving me these options. Like I have to find something else. Growing up, I was always just like very interested in health and being more open-minded about natural solutions to things. I grew up in a household that didn't always use natural solutions, but I always felt the call towards that. So I graduated in 2013, came back to Waco. I had a semester off because I graduated early, and my parents just gave me some time to like figure out what I wanted to do. And I'm so thankful for that because I was in such terrible pain. Like it was so bad. And if you know me, I'm already trying to hold back my emotions. So we'll see how this call goes. But Michelle will be really interested to hear this. And I don't know, maybe Michelle, you already know, but I started going to a functional medicine doctor. Well, I call him that. He was also a chiropractor in our town, Waco, and he did muscle testing. And I had heard great things about him from my uncle. And so went to him, got muscle tested, kind of thought it was like, you know, a little bit crazy, but I just went with it because again, I felt that like call and pull to trying something different. And what's it going to hurt if I tried something else, right? So went to him, got on some supplements, got on this diet kind of plan called the Killer Diet, which Michelle kind of coined and created for them. Now I know that. That's awesome. So it's just, yeah, connections all around. But did multiple cycles of that and would eliminate things and reintroduce them. And it helped so much. And something that intense, as some of you may know, is really hard to keep up for an extended period of time unless you just like fully commit. And I did fully commit for periods of time, and it really did help. So for about 3 years, I completely maintained the size of my cysts. Which was incredible for, I think, what I was going through, and had really great pain management with the diet and the supplements. And within that time, I first got introduced to doTERRA. So this was like 8 years ago. I've been using essential oils. And the first oil I was introduced to was Digestin, which is like just kind of strange if you think about it for hormonal stuff. But I told the person that gave me that original sample that I always had bloating, gas, period cramps, cycle stuff. And she's like, just try this oil. I'm going to send it to you. So I tried it, and it gave me so much relief as far as bloating, gas, digestion. And now, of course, I know all of that is connected to the way we express hormones within our body, but didn't know that at the time. So it gave me a ton of relief. And you should definitely try Digestin if you have any of those issues. And I opened up a yoga studio in Waco in 2014. Had it open for about 4 years, but was just super stressed out owning my own business and running my own business, as some of you may know, or have come to doTERRA on the business side of things to get out of a stressful situation like that. So I within that time, super stressed out. Now, again, I know that stress spikes all of those things and makes it all worse. My pain levels were just like crazy. And I was running the studio and I had to cover classes for people, at random times. And if I was in pain, like I couldn't get out of bed for a couple of days, and then I'd have to get people to replace me teaching. And it was just like a huge mess. And I never knew when I was going to be in pain and when that was going to pop up. So it was just a big cycle. My one cyst, that was after 3 years of maintaining it, just started to slowly grow, which is really unfortunate, but my stress levels again just were high, and eventually grew to the size of a grapefruit. That was on my right side. And at that point, I really didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to get on medication. I was still, trying to control it with supplements and muscle testing and all that kind of stuff. And it just wasn't cutting it. And I wasn't trying maybe other things that I could have done, but ended up having a laparoscopic surgery in 2016 for that one big cyst. Now, everything that I researched prior to that told me that if I were to have surgery, that it would probably come back, like 99% chance it would come back. And you always want to think that it won't, but it did. So if you're in the same boat that I was, I just like push you and urge you to reach out to whoever enrolled you and get connected with this community to try to find other natural alternatives before you do that. I don't regret that I did it, because at that point, I think it did help. But that was like 6 months after that, I ended up having not just one cyst on one side, but a cyst on both ovaries. Was told I had like what is it called? Collapsed tube. Maybe you guys have been told this, just a ton of different things. Got told by multiple doctors that I would have fertility issues because of all of these things. They wanted to, like inject the colorful fluid, I don't even know the scientific term, through the tubes to make sure the tubes were open and all of that kind of stuff. I never did any of that because, again, I just felt like I have to find a way to make it work, and I'm going to have children. And I never let what they said to me affect the way I felt about having kids, or that I knew I could have kids. So I just say that to encourage you guys. If doctors are telling you one thing right now, that does not mean that they are the end result of whatever is happening to you. It's what they say is not the end all be all of what is going to happen. So, okay, so that was 6 months, ovaries on, or cysts on both sides, like just craziness. So I had the opportunity to close my studio. Long story short, I was going to move my studio. The simple like relief of knowing that I had the opportunity to like get out of it or move, I think just helped like maintain the size of my cyst and keep the pain at bay. Thank God. I made the wrong decision and re-signed a lease to reopen my studio. And in the middle of all that was trying to plan a wedding in 4 months. Yes, I'm crazy, but my husband and I were just ready to get married. And ready to have kids. So anyway, all this was going on. So what happens? My stress levels rise again. Everything gets crazy. My pain comes back. I never know whenever I'm going to be in pain or what will like trigger it. I tried really hard to figure out if different foods triggered all of these things, but it was really, now that I look back, I think it all had to do and stem from stress. And we'll talk about that a little bit later too. So let's see. Okay, so fast forward, that was leadership trip in 2016, doTERRA's leadership trip for if you do doTERRA as a business. I was with Kristen and Callie Kenny. You may have seen her within the LDC before. She's great. She's a really close friend of ours, and she's technically our upline in doTERRA, in the business world of doTERRA. And she had a close friend that was a doula, and we kind of talked about what I was going through. And she gave me this whole protocol on a fertility protocol, really based for endometriosis, but to prep my body ahead of time for conceiving. So that was in March. My wedding was in April. When I got back from leadership, I started that protocol, and it wasn't even, I did it all of, so like middle of March through April, and then middle of April through May, and then conceived in June. And yeah, that was my first baby. And I will give you guys the whole lowdown, I promise, on the protocol that I used. This is like the most fun thing for me to do. and to watch other people tell their stories and like get specifics and exactly what they did. And I just love to hear what other people have done. So I'm really excited to share with you guys that exact protocol. And that was only 2 months. And then I haven't done that since. And to be honest, with my second girl, I didn't even do the exact protocol. I had just been keeping up with most of those supplements that she originally recommended to me, just as my natural protocol, my prenatal vitamins, all of that. And just, we actually conceived in the same month that I conceived my first child, and they had the same due date. They were born 4 days apart, but just craziness. So overall, I guess I just want you to take from that there is other ways, there are other options. Don't let the doctors tell you what your outcome is going to be, and question them and push them if you do want to go that route, on what would be best for you. But try natural solutions. What could hurt with trying another option before getting on a medication or something that could screw your hormones up for life? And that just like makes me sick to my stomach that some girls are on Lupron and going into menopause at the age of 20 or even younger. And yeah, anyways, I could go on a rampage about that. The other thing that I wanted to add with this was, I've mentioned stress levels multiple times. And if I would have had Adaptive and Copaiba soft gels back then, I think that I definitely would have included those. So some of the different protocols and suggestions that I'll share with you guys tonight, I would definitely start with Adaptive or Copaiba, both or either or, for your stress levels, and thinking about where your stress is coming from. Are there places in your life that you can remove those areas of stress? Maybe you can't quit your job like I did. I was very fortunate, but I also took up doTERRA as a business too. So that of course supplemented my income that I was making owning my own yoga studio. But that's an option for you too, if you feel like you're in just a crazy job and you're having health concerns and need a way out. I just have to say that because I'm like, that happened for me, and I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have something else to turn to. So check your stress and try to figure out ways that you can remove as much stress as you can and take care of the stress that you do have in healthy ways with supplements and how you're eating and exercise and water intake and all that other stuff. I'm sure that will be mentioned tonight. So I hope that's helpful. I'm always here. You can text me anytime if you have questions, and I'm in the LDC too. So always feel free to post in the comments and I'll get back to you as well. And I have a few more questions tonight too that will address more fertility kind of stuff.
Thanks, Danny. Gosh, that is such a powerful story. Such a powerful story. And like she said, we have some questions that we're going to be working through. A couple of them, you'll see some themes with these questions, and so a couple of them are related to monthly cycles and stress, but they're more specific questions. And so now for the rest of our time tonight, we'll be going through some questions, many of which were submitted. And I think we'll start out with a question for Michelle. And I do want to share too that if you have any comments or follow-up questions, or just any questions in general, make sure that you're utilizing that chat too, and we'll try to keep up with it, just in case there's any follow-up that we need to do. So Michelle, like I said, we'll start out with you. So what are some of your most used natural solutions for your family?
Hi, that is a great question. First of all, I love hearing Danny's story. And yes, I coined it the killer diet because it was pretty killer, but it also killed all of the inflammation in your body, which allows your body to do what it was intended to do, which is to heal itself. And that's actually how I started my journey too, was I was diagnosed as infertile by the doctors. When I was 16, they wanted to put me on birth control and medicine. And that's how I got started my holistic journey. Thankfully, it was through my parents, and they said no to medicine. And they said, our daughter needs a lot of inner healing, which is how I got into the therapy side of holistic health. And then I started on supplements with the same chiropractor that and holistic doctor that Danny went to. He changed my life too. That's how I got my period back after 7 years of no period. And we thank God, have a daughter, and now we have a son like any day now. So the body is really powerful. And so believing in plants, believing that nature, that God has given us everything that we need in nature to heal our bodies, has so much power. And so that's how I have gotten into holistic health. I really believe that it's from the inside out. And so I love that we're taking care of our bodies from the inside out with plants through supplements. And my journey has only continued, and I'm really, really thankful. So what that looks like in our family, there are actually so many opportunities to take care of your family naturally. I will say it does require patience, and it's a different way to live. It's a lifestyle. It's not a consumer, quick fix kind of thing. It's a different mindset. And it's been really amazing. I was actually talking to my sister tonight over dinner, and we were just saying, wow, like our 2-year-old has actually never gotten a hand and foot. She's never gotten the flu. She's never had any real sickness besides congestion and fever. And it was like teething fevers and, congestion that we all get. So I'm going to share some of those things tonight. I am a very practical person. I love vision, but the coaching side of me is like, okay, but what can we do about it? So tonight, if y'all want to take notes, and if anyone on the chat has ideas for some of the topics I'm going to hit, please feel free to throw in more ideas, because I love learning. I'm always learning new ways. But some of our favorite family solutions that we come back to again and again have been, so for general sickness, because, flu season comes around, and it's just a part of life. Our body builds immunity every time we get sick. So I would tell myself that if you have any kids, or whenever you feel kind of bummed that you got sick, it's okay. Your body's building immunity against it. It's getting stronger. So On Guard, as I'm sure all of you probably have in your home, has been really amazing. This little guy helped clear my mastitis. Instead of taking antibiotics, I asked my midwives 2 years ago if I could just try my On Guard capsules. They sell like little capsules that have a variety of oils in them. And that was super powerful. Within 24 hours, my infection was cleared out. And so we've, the On Guard capsules, anytime we travel or we're starting to feel kind of sick or icky, I'll actually I've never heard anyone else do this, but it's worked really well, because bacteria and infections start in the mouth. And so I'll take On Guard and just rub it on my gums. And then I drink water, and I'll put some on my throat when I feel like I'm starting to get a sore throat. And I have not gotten like sick hardly. And when I'm sick, it's usually just like a 24-hour thing, or it's totally manageable because I've got oils and I'm taking supplements. So for sickness, we just diffuse On Guard. I put it on my gums. I make my husband do the same. It's pretty spicy. But then our breath smells amazing. And then just, staying hydrated. So that's been one. And then for our daughter, the same thing. I just put on the bottoms of her feet. Basically everything we do in our home as adults, we do for our 2-year-old. It's just diluted. And it's just a lesser amount. But I think that's also been really empowering, because it's not like she needs to be treated different, or she needs a kid medicine or anything like that. She's human and has systems just like we do. Another thing is congestion and colds. So congestion and colds are a real thing. They're my least favorite. Congestion is my least favorite, because I'm like, oh no, now we can't sleep. This is going to be so hard. But Breathe and Peppermint have been so clutch. So we'll diffuse that at night next to her crib. We'll diffuse it in our bedroom. We'll put some on with coconut oil on our chest. We grew up using Vicks Vapor Rub. We actually called it Vicks Vaporub growing up. And now there's this thing called Deep Blue, which I'm sure all of y'all have heard of it. Deep Blue Rub, which is like Vicks on steroids. So that's been amazing for opening up the sinuses, opening up your pathways, and it doesn't have chemicals. It's actually good for you. It's supportive. So we've loved using Breathe and the Deep Blue Rub. Again, these are the things that we've been using for our daughter for 2 years, and I've never had to take her to the doctor once. So that has been a blessing. A few of the things I wanted to touch on were energy, nutrients, and inflammation. So I am almost 9 months pregnant, meaning I could have a baby, will have a baby in the next 2 weeks, but I have so much energy. And I really accredit that to the fact that I nourished my body and that I'm taking care of it from the inside out. So when I feel anxious, I need to talk it out. I need to say it out loud. I need to be honest with myself. I think that's where it first starts. Taking care of your mind and your heart is so important because your body is going to absorb any stress that you don't release. So for everyone out there who feels some kind of stress, find a way to release it, whether it's sweating it out, talking it out. I know one of my sisters loves to get in the car and just like scream it out, and then she feels better. So whatever it is that you need to do to let it out, it is so important to find a way to get stress out of the body, to get it moving out. And I've been taking the Lifelong Vitality Pack. So taking supplements I wasn't a huge supplement person until I met Dr. Smithson, and he helped heal my body through supplements. And I was like, wow. And that's really powerful. And then I didn't for a long time because I didn't know who to trust, because supplements are a whole world. And we all know it's a business on a lot of fronts. But when I found doTERRA's and did a lot of research on their supplements, I mean, honestly, I was really impressed. And then I didn't have to pay $100 per bottle, and they're fully absorbable. So they're fully methylated, which means that your body's actually going to absorb them, which is what you want. But most vitamins are that you find over the counter, even some that you can order online, you just pee them out. So the Lifelong Vitality has been huge. It's been a game changer for me. I've had so much energy this pregnancy. I'm so thankful. I actually tested positive the first time for strep B. It's like GBS, group B strep. And the protocol is antibiotics, and I declined. And then this time, and they told me that most likely every pregnancy I will test positive, but I've been taking the probiotic and I tested negative 2 days ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, God. And I told Kristen, I was like, the only thing I've done different is taking the doTERRA probiotic. So it works. It's very green too. So I believe it works because it smells like it works. It smells like chlorella, which is great because I need chlorella just to filter and detox my system, put some gut bacteria in there. So Healthy Family Solutions, detoxing is really important. We put lemon drops in our water every day. I'll put tangerine, grapefruit, just different citrus oils, and it just helps things keep moving. I mean, we poop around here. I love talking about poop. Poop is such a great indicator of how your body's doing. And all of detoxing, your body's supposed to do that. So putting citrus in our water has been a really simple and delicious way, especially as summer's coming, to continue to detox our bodies. Inflammation. So if you have inflammation in your body, whether it's from working out, or you threw your back out like I did 2 weeks ago, or you just know that you've got inflammation going on, people who have autoimmune challenges and things like that, copaiba and frankincense together are really a powerful combination to help decrease your inflammation. And I took both of those when I threw my back out. Every day that I went to the chiropractor, my chiropractor was like, what are you doing? Your inflammation is significantly going down every day. Like it was an everyday thing because I couldn't walk on Monday. On Wednesday, I was at my baby shower. And I told her literally all I'm doing is taking 3 drops of frankincense, 3 drops of copaiba just under my tongue every 3 hours. And she was like, well, don't stop doing that because your inflammation is really significantly going down. So I now swear by copaiba and frankincense too. So that was huge. Obviously Deep Blue helps with inflammation as well. And we love that for massaging and sore muscles and things like that. So that's been another way that we've been able to cut out toxins and be really practical in our home about how we use these gifts of plants to help our bodies and use them on the practical daily. The other 2 things that we use a lot are Digestin. And so Digestin helps with diarrhea, it helps with nausea, helps with bloating and gas. Digestin is the one that Danny was talking about that really actually helped with her bloating and cramping during her periods. And we have found it to be really helpful for Rory, for our daughter, when she gets constipated. We'll just rub it on her belly and on her spine. And we do like little massages with her, and that girl will toot away. It's amazing. And she definitely goes to the bathroom. So that's been really helpful. It's been helpful for me too. I remember one time, it was about a year ago. I don't drink a lot and I had too much wine and I felt so sick. And one of Kristen was like, take Digestin. And I was like, really, after wine? And it helped. Like, I woke up the next morning and felt great. So if you're having a little bit of a hangover, you can totally take Digestin. But yeah, it has helped for basically all stomach issues. It helps settle. And there's different ways to take it. You can take it in a shot glass with water. You can put a drop or two under your tongue and then just drink some water. You can also put some with coconut oil and put it on your belly and on your back. And skincare. Skincare is a really big one. And I would say just skin and body. So looking at your shampoos, your conditioners, if your bottles say fragrance or perfume or natural scent or something like natural perfume, each of those labels can actually hold 300 ingredients that they don't have to list. They can just say perfume, fragrance, and that actually means 300. So I was looking at a bottle the other day and it says only 5 ingredients, but the last one is perfume. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Well, that means 305 ingredients. So switching out small things like that in our home has been, there's layers. We're laying a foundation for our health. So when you start switching out medicine, you start switching out chemicals and you start switching out synthetics, and then you're switching out your perfume for natural oils and, switching out your deodorant, because that is where your lymph nodes are. This is where you sweat. And if you block them with antiperspirant, you're blocking your detox system and you're putting in chemicals. So not only are you not getting the toxins out, you're blocking it. So when people go off of normal deodorant, we call normal, they're like, oh, but I stink so bad. And it's because your body's detoxing. So there is a detox that you have to go through, but it's so worth it. And yeah, so those are some of the things I wanted to touch on. Looking at your facial products, they can be really bougie, good smelling, fun looking branding. I love branding. I love marketing, but you really need to look at the labels, because the labels will tell you. It's like Coca-Cola. It looks cool, right? It's in a glass bottle. But if you were to take away Coca-Cola's marketing and branding and put it in just like a regular, ugly, dirty jar, you would never want to drink it. Your teeth, they're gritty and taste like tar in your mouth, like overly sweet tar. So look at your products in your home with a more educated, critical eye and say, okay, but what is this actually? If I remove the branding, if I remove the marketing, you will find some really interesting things. So we've started to remove that. We don't burn candles anymore in our home unless they're just beeswax, like perfume and fragrances. We don't burn them. I just keep them around because they're so cute. And some of them are they're really fancy and bougie, and they make me happy because I love those brands, or they remind me of New York or different things, but I just don't burn them. I just diffuse. And every time we diffuse, every time I brush my teeth, every time I put on my deodorant, all of those things are actually giving me support. Not only am I cutting out toxins in our home, but I'm actually supporting my body layer on layer on layer. So you can see how it starts to add up. And that's how we build health. Everything in life is built. It's little by little. So I've loved being able to do a lot of those things in our home. And I would say that that's our holistic family protocol to say.
All right, cool. I love that analogy about the Coca-Cola. That's such a great point. So, Michelle, you had mentioned that you really like talking about poop. So we have a question from the chat, the follow-up. Can you talk a little bit more about diarrhea?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, first of all, when we have a symptom, everyone's different and it's caused by different things. So I would first ask what triggered the diarrhea. Is it just temporary? Is it seasonal? Is this chronic? Does it come up a lot? Because usually a symptom is just like a flashlight in a car saying, attention, I need some help. So it's the same thing in our body. So Digestin does help. Peppermint also helps to calm the stomach. And a lot of times when we have diarrhea, our body's trying to get rid of something. So there's some kind of virus, there's some kind of bacteria, your body's trying to get it out. The body is going to do what it does best, and it's trying to get rid of toxins and trying to get rid of things that are hurting it. So I think I would try digestin and peppermint for relief. And I would really ask some questions like, what do you think triggered it? So hydrating is really important when you've got the runs too.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, so we're just going to kind of keep moving through our questions. We're going to rotate with our panelists here. So Danny, do you want to talk a little bit about what someone should do if they have irregular periods?
Yeah, this is so much fun, you guys. We could be on for like hours. I like have a comment for everything everyone is saying. It's so fun. So I have a lot of people now coming to me, a lot of younger girls in high school and college that have irregular cycles that come to me asking me, they've heard my fertility story and they just don't know what to do. And the only thing that they've heard or have been suggested is that the doctor wants to put them on birth control to regulate their period, their period, and give them a cycle. And well, I think all of you guys know now that I do not suggest that they do that. A few things that I forgot to touch on when I was telling you about my first fertility story, a few great resources as far as books are Taking Charge of Your Fertility. And I think this is so like everyone needs to read this. High school girls, like I wish this would have been a curriculum in high school. Taking Charge of Your Fertility book. I can't remember who it's by. It's pretty thick, but like it goes through so much stuff that I was never taught as far as like cervical fluid and just like so many things that if girls knew that, and if they knew what to look for and what signs and symptoms and the root cause, like Michelle was talking about, and inflammation and stress and like all of these things, they could probably figure out why they're not having a cycle. So that book, and then the Women's Code by Elisa Vida. She's amazing. Follow her on Instagram. That book is just great. So anyone that is going through this should read both of those books. If you guys are currently experiencing an irregular period or like haven't had your cycle in a while, if you don't mind sharing, like I would love to have this as a conversation in the chat. Because I think not enough people are open about it. And unfortunately, it's such a common thing that so many people do not have a regular cycle or don't have a cycle at all. So okay, so what I would recommend, baseline, if you don't want to do like anything else, would be your stress levels. And obviously there's things like if you're not taking in so many calories, if you're burning them, like if you're a high school athlete or whatever it might be, like Michelle, in your case, you were a marathon runner and probably weren't getting enough calories and stress levels. And like there's so many things that can go into it, but baseline supplements, if you're not getting good nutrition, I feel like if you can just get on Lifelong Vitality Pack and phytoestrogen, which I'll talk a little bit more about in the next question too. But if you can get on those two things, and if you can get on more than that, I would get on Terrazyme, which is a digestive enzyme, and then PB Assist, which is doTERRA's probiotic. So baseline LLV, which is Lifelong Vitality Pack, and phytoestrogen. I'll talk about that in a second. If you want to go a little bit more in depth and you're like, something's just off, it's more than just my period, I know like my stomach is off, some other issues, you could go for the doTERRA cleanse. You don't want to do anything too crazy. So like, I wouldn't recommend going on like a 3 to 5 day juice cleanse, or like something that you feel like is just going to be a quick fix and somehow bring your cycle back because you're clearing out your gut, right? We want to slowly, gently detox your body and repair your gut health, because it's all connected. If your gut health is healthy, then your cortisol levels are going to be good. All of these things line up, and then your hormones are going to be regulated. So the cleanse would be a great option if you have the budget for it and you really want to take charge of your fertility and your hormones. Do you currently fast, or are you on a keto diet? I think it's really important to touch on, because I know some of those things are really popular, like intermittent fasting, or if you're not eating for a certain period of time and you're restricting yourself on calories and you're probably overworking yourself or working out too much, this could be another cause. So maybe just cut that out and have breakfast again, or switch up your diet again and see how your body responds. Let's see. yeah, I just wrote down, you may want to cut this out for a few months and see how you feel when your insulin levels are being supported and not compromised, which then can cause estrogen dominance, which then can cause and lead to all of these other things that we're all experiencing: PCOS, endometriosis, ovarian cysts, all of these things. Reducing your sugar intake, I know that's really hard, but if you can up your fiber and focus more on whole foods that are rich in proteins and fats, that could be really helpful. I'm going to talk about fiber a little bit more later. Sorry, I'm not addressing it fully, but I just want to expand on it a little bit more in the next question too. So magnesium is amazing. The bone nutrient complex within doTERRA, it's a supplement within doTERRA, has your full dose of magnesium, and it actually comes in a pack: phytoestrogen, bone nutrient complex, and it comes with a roller bottle called Clary Calm. And a lot of people have really great results with that. So even if you could get that women's pack, it's kind of like promoted more towards like menopausal older women, but I think it's like they need to totally market it to like the younger crowd, because I feel like anyone that is dealing with hormone issues needs to be on all three of those or use them. So you could try that, talk to the person that invited you and they can help you out. Energy levels and adrenal stress. If you're just stressed out, overwhelmed, you're feeling tired and fatigued all the time. I know that with endometriosis and hormonal diseases, issues like that, autoimmune diseases, fatigue is like a real thing. If you're dealing with that right now, my like heart goes out to you, because even running a small business, it's like I just had to like pick myself up some days and take naps in between every single class I would teach, because I was so fatigued and so run down. And there was no amount of coffee, no amount of nothing that could take my fatigue away. So what Mito2 Max is just like an energy supplement, is the easiest way for me to say it. People have actually replaced their Adderall with Mito2 Max, and it's amazing. Anyway, it can help support your adrenals, and take it in the morning if you're taking it for hormone related stuff. You don't want to take it at night to keep yourself awake. You want to take it to support your adrenals and to support your stress levels for energy. We talked about Life on Vitality Pack, Terrazyme probiotic. Okay, and then we'll go back to fiber. So yes, fiber in the purest form is from whole foods, that is the best way to get it. Broccoli, pears are really high in fiber. But doTERRA just came out with an amazing fiber supplement. And again, all I'm talking about is hormones. So anything I say is hormone related. Fiber is great for hormones, for estrogen dominance, for flushing out and like catching on to the stuff that needs to be released in your large intestines and flushing it through. So what we don't want is when we're eating things, especially that are higher in estrogen or that can mimic estrogen, things like when you read your ingredient label, if it says anything with GAR or gums, like xanthan gums, any of those things can mimic estrogen in the body. And so what we don't want is you to be constipated or stuck and not processing those things through, and them holding or staying in your gut for an extended period of time. And then all of this estrogen that is xenoestrogens is what we can call them, so fake estrogens, and then it's going into your body mimicking real estrogen, and your body has no idea what to do, and so your hormones are off balance, you're not having a cycle, all of these things. So what fiber is going to help you do is just keep yourself regular, even for I think it was Grace that said like diarrhea, like try some fiber. I know fiber and magnesium can sometimes make you loose, but maybe your body needs to process things through, like Michelle was saying. Maybe it can help catch on to those things that your body needs to flush out. So the fiber supplement from doTERRA, and it tastes great. You can like mix it with orange juice if you want to, but just with water is really great, or with the greens. God, I could really like recommend every single one of doTERRA's products for any of these things. We talked about phytoestrogen and stress, and then the turmeric capsule is great for, again, stress levels, lowering your cortisol, lowering inflammation, lowering all of those things that you need to lower in order for your hormones to be balanced and for your body to just like be back in its happy homeostasis place. Yeah, that's all I got for that. I'll go into a few more things a little bit more in the next question, but if you guys have any other questions, I'll type them in the chat.
All right, cool. Thank you, Danny. The next question is, what are some suggestions to help with ADHD and focus? And so, admittedly, as we were, as a group, as we were talking through these questions, none of us really felt like we were an expert on that topic. And so, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this one. And so, as I mentioned, since I'm not necessarily an expert and I don't have a personal experience with this, I just went ahead and I just did a little bit of research with it. And before I talk about kind of what doTERRA products you can use to help with that, I think that it's important to note that really all all situations regarding ability to focus and ADHD, it's all kind of a unique and unique situations that everybody just really kind of needs to take a look at, what works best for them when it comes to that. But I'm just going to share some just kind of general things that I learned. So first of all, what I did was I went to the LDC Facebook group, and I honestly, I just kind of used our chat bar there. It's such a great resource anytime that you're looking for something specific. And so what I learned, and I pulled up some information from one of my friends here that also is a wellness advocate in my community. And she shared a lot of information about a personal experience, saying that ADHD has a direct correlation to gut health. And so she has seen a lot of improvement with focus in her family and with her kids simply by implementing a probiotic into their daily habits. And so there's a probiotic for kids. It's called PB Assist Junior, and it's like a little a pixie stick, really. And I think it tastes like melon. And so you can give your kids one of those every morning. It's super good. And then there's also a probiotic for adults too. So whether you're a kid or an adult, I would start by implementing that probiotic, and I would bet that within a week you're going to see a change. Also, just getting a great supplement into your diet is also going to help. So I think we already talked some about Lifelong Vitality tonight, but there's also a really great kid supplement. It's called the A to Z vitamin, and it's just has like a little smiley face on it. And by giving your kids, oh, there we go. Michelle's holding it up for us. Thank you, Michelle. By giving your kids just a daily multivitamin, high quality multivitamin like that A to Z, that's going to make a huge difference too. So starting out with the probiotic and then moving into what I would suggest would be taking a look at the adaptive line, especially for adults. There's some different things for kids that you could use, but Adaptive has the Adaptive oil, and which is really great for diffusing or even just putting it in your hands and taking a couple of deep breaths. That's going to help slow down some of those racing thoughts in your brain, and that sometimes make it hard for us to focus. But then the capsules are really great as well. So I know a lot of people that will take the Adaptive capsules just for daily maintenance, and it is very, very helpful for them. Now, there's also a kids line, and within the kids line, there is a roller that's called Thinker, and it's the Kids Focus Blend. So even by implementing that into a daily routine and, right away in the morning, putting that on, their spine, their feet, I always like to do the wrists as well. Putting that into your daily routine with that Thinker, and then maybe even sending it to school. If it's a kid that's having trouble focusing at school, I think that there's a lot of teachers that would welcome the fact that they have children that are in their classroom that are trying to take control of their emotions and that feel confident in their ability to do that. So you could send something like that to school with them too. And for adults, the adult version of that Thinker roller is called Intune. It's the Focus Blend for adults. And I personally, I really love the smell of Intune, so I almost wear it as a perfume every day, and it is, I guess it works double for me because it's perfume, but then it also helps me focus too, and helps me get things done during the day. So with all of that, I would say that consistency is really going to be key. And there's a handful of other oils and products that you could use to help with focus and ADHD too. But there's going to be situations where it's going to take a little bit of experimenting and figuring out what's the best routine for you. But like I said, I am absolutely not a self-proclaimed expert on this topic. And so if you want to kind of deep dive into it a little bit more to hear maybe what other people are finding success with, I would utilize that LDC Facebook group and just type in that search bar there. Okay, so let's move on to our next question here. And this one's going to be from Michelle. What are some practical ways you've made your home non-toxic?
That is a great question. We've got just a few short minutes, so I'm gonna kind of just bullet point these really quick. So if you live in a home, which you probably do, you can just start thinking practically, what are some of the things that I could do in my home to make my living more non-toxic, because that affects your body. You're living, you're breathing, you're sweating, you're taking in whatever is in your environment at all times. So I just want to start from that kind of perspective, looking at your home as I am absorbing everything. Is it helping me? Is it building those layers, that foundation? Or is it actually making it something else that my body, it becomes a hurdle for my body? Okay, so we want to think, is it supportive or is it a hurdle? So maybe that'll help you as you're walking around your house. Is it supportive or is it a hurdle? So I'm just going to hit these points real quick because we've just got a few minutes. So laundry, that has been one of the big ones, because at night, I don't know about y'all, but I live in Texas and I sweat. It's May and I'm already sweating at night. I'm like, honey, we need to turn it down, like turn the AC down. And so whatever's in my sheets, I'm absorbing. And because our pores, we've got pores everywhere, we're constantly absorbing. So laundry, switching over to a natural detergent is really, really clutch, especially when you have kids. It's like they're tiny little bodies. They can only take so many toxins. So cleaning laundry, bed sheets, everything, having a natural detergent is really important. And so I love the like spa feel. Like our sheets smell so amazing, and that makes me really happy. And the way I do that is I add essential oils. Like I add melaleuca and eucalyptus. Also On Guard, we have an On Guard detergent that's amazing. And I'll add like extra oils because I just want my sheets to smell like I'm living in a plant spa. And then I also add them to our dryer balls in the laundry, so when they dry. And so my daughter's PJs, like they smell so good, and her crib sheets smell so good, and there's not toxins that she's absorbing. So laundry is huge. Cleaning your counters. If you've got lemon oil, you've got detoxing for your body, and you've got cleaning, grease, stains, everything. Lemon does it all. So that's another thing that I've been able to replace so many things. I just use my lemon oil, or any citrus oil. And my plants, I would show you guys, but I've got lots of plants in here. So plants naturally will help detox the air. So have plants on the inside of your home. They're obviously on the outside of your home, but bring them in. They are little friends. My sister's been teaching me more about them, and they have personalities and they have different temperaments. So I've grown a lot in learning plant language. But something that I do to love on them is rosemary. So my daughter sprays all of our plants, and we just do water. I use filtered water, and rosemary oil. And I'll just put some drops of rosemary oil and eucalyptus, and then she'll spray her hair. And I mean, it's great. I'm like, go ahead, honey, you spray our whole house. So that's really encouraged our plants to grow, and it helps keep bugs away. You can use lavender as well. So lavender, rosemary, eucalyptus, these are great plant oils to help keep bugs away and to help encourage their growth. And then we diffuse. Like I said, we don't burn candles that have fragrance in them. We keep them to look pretty. And then we diffuse oils instead of candles. And for bugs and sprays, I just make my own. bug spray. There's this one called Terra Shield. It's like $10 for a huge bottle. And it even has vanilla in it. Like sometimes I kind of want to lick it because it's like woodsy with vanilla. It's sublime. And then just products that we have at home that we have just changed. Like I love my On Guard toothpaste. I love the new branding. I'm telling you I'm about branding. But anyway, the toothpaste is amazing. It's got On Guard, so it's helping kill the virus and bacteria that we pick up during the day. So, and I use natural deodorant. I just keep one everywhere. My bag, my closet, my bathroom, the guest bathroom, they're everywhere. And I don't mind reapplying because they smell great and they're non-toxic. So those are some of my favorite ways around the home.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. So we're right at 9 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post the link to the survey right there in the chat. And so that is the survey that you need to take if you are wanting to get a free diffuser. Remember, you need to attend 8 continuing ed classes, this in the forums or the continuing education that happens monthly too. That all counts towards it. So go ahead and take the survey. And then because it is 9 o'clock, please hop off if you need to. But we did have one last question for Danny that I think is just a really good one, and it kind of follows the theme of a lot of what we've been talking about. So Danny, if you're okay, and you want to go through this last question. And then if anyone wants to hop off, feel free. But if you want to stay around, the question is, I am wanting to get pregnant in the next year or two. What should I do now to support my body best?
Yeah, I'll try not to be too long. I wasn't able to verbalize the fertility protocol, so I just typed it out just in case you were needing that and need to hop off. But baseline, like I talked about a little bit earlier, if you can your budget only allows you to do so much, or you're just wanting to start off slowly, all the things that we have talked about tonight, like everything that Michelle has talked about, everything that Jill has talked about, all the stuff that I'm talking about are small things that don't cost you money necessarily, things in your home that you can slowly start switching out or eliminating, getting rid of. All of these things overall cause estrogen dominance in our lives. And if you're dealing with anything hormonal, then these are the things you're going to want to start eliminating and replacing with more natural things. Now, if you do have it in your budget to start using some supplements and you're not currently on supplements, or supplements that are actually working for you, and you might not even know if they're working or not, Lifelong Vitality Pack, Terrazyme, and their probiotic. I spoke about that a little bit earlier, so I'm not going to go too far into that, but Terrazyme is a digestive enzyme that basically helps break down the foods that you're eating and help your body absorb all the nutrients that it can. It also helps if you are eating fried foods, things that you know you're probably not the best for your body. It will help break those down and process them through. And then also process through any extra estrogen dominance type things you have in your body to help regulate your hormones. Gosh, I have so many stories I could tell tonight. I'm like, what do I need to narrow down? But basically, when I talked to one of, I don't know what he technically is within doTERRA, but if you've heard of Symphony of the Cells protocol, Kristen and I got to talk to him one-on-one, and I asked him what he would recommend for me for endometriosis before I was pregnant. And he recommended the forgiveness protocol in Symphony of the Cells and the hormone protocol. And he said, I want you to take Terrazyme 2 in the morning before you have food, 2 at breakfast, 2 at lunch, 2 at dinner, and 2 before you go to bed at night. And I did that with this fertility protocol. What I typed out doesn't have that many. Actually, I don't know if it has Terrazyme in it, but I did take that many Terrazyme for 2 months. And sometimes I still take that much. Because he said what it does, it's like, it helps you break down the body, help your body absorb the nutrients, and it acts as a scavenger and goes into your body to help break down anything excess that you have. So estrogen dominance, extra estrogen, cysts, fibroids. He mentioned so many things, but anything that's like growing inside of your body that is not normal, it can help kind of eat away at that and help you break down and eliminate. And I was like, just mind blown when he told me that. So that's a little bit on Terrazyme. The fertility protocol, I'll go over briefly. Full Lifelong Vitality Pack, 2 Mito2 Max, that energy supplement we talked about, one in the AM, one at breakfast, and one at lunch. Don't use to stay up later. So don't take it at night. If you're like a college student and need to stay up to study, you want to take it to support your adrenals. Deep Blue polyphenols. I didn't even get to touch on this, but that is like my number one supplement with doTERRA. If you need a replacement for Advil, Tylenol, if you have cramps and Midol and 100 milligram ibuprofen is not working for you, take Deep Blue polyphenols because it's just packed with antioxidants that's going to reduce the inflammation in your body. Michelle touched on that briefly. So turmeric and Deep Blue polyphenols are great. Vitamin D3, I like the brand Quicksilver. I can get it on Amazon, or Thorne is a good brand too. Make sure it has K2 with it as well. Probiotic, PB Assist, one at night. DDR Prime is for cellular health. You're going to want to take one in the AM, one in the PM. Remember, I told you how once they kind of cut you open, those cells just replicate. And unfortunately, the endometriosis gets everywhere or whatever you're dealing with. So DDR Prime is going to help support your cells and just support healthy function. Phytoestrogen, you're going to take 2 in the morning. And again, I could talk forever about all of this stuff, but we talked about xenoestrogens. Michelle touched on candles, all of these things like in your house that you are that have fragrance, and all of the other things that we touched on tonight can mimic estrogen and other hormones inside the body. And we call those xenoestrogens if it's fake. So fake estrogen. And what phytoestrogen does, think about like a cell with a bunch of different holes. All these fake estrogens are going into those holes and filling them up, and your body doesn't have a way for your natural hormones, your natural estrogen to fill in those spaces in your cells so that your body is naturally regulating its hormones, right? So what phytoestrogen does is goes in, it kicks all those bullies off the playground and allows your body to fill in those holes with natural hormones that your bodies are already producing. So I have had great luck with phytoestrogen, and a lot of people have had really good success with getting their periods back, regular cycles, all that kind of stuff. Now, a Frank sickle, there's 2 ways you can do this. 4 drops in a veggie capsule, and you're going to insert it at night. Wear a pad when you go to bed. And this is just going to help with overall health down there. You can either do that, or you can get an organic 100% cotton tampon without the, the word I'm looking for, the insert piece. It's just the tampon portion. You're going to soak it in fractionated the regular coconut oil, warm it down, soak it in that, and then just mix some frankincense in a bowl. And you can do a couple of those. And I just put them in like an ice cube tray, stick them in the freezer, and you can insert one nightly for 10 nights, and you'll just cycle through that once a month. So many more things I could say, you guys, but this was so much fun. And if you are need more information about hormones, I know this is a long way away, but I think in November or December, I'm teaching the continuing education on hormone health. So I'd love to see you then to continue to get those check marks for your free diffuser too. Thanks for joining.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny. So I had one follow-up question in the chat. What were the 2 books that you recommended?
Oh yeah. Taking Charge of Your Fertility. I cannot remember who it's by, but it's a thick book. And then Women's Code by Elisa Vida. I'll type it. And you guys should follow her on Instagram too. And Taking Charge of Your Fertility.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Danny mentioned a continuing ed that we have coming up later in the year, but just a reminder for everybody that is interested in learning and wanting to win that free diffuser too. Our next continuing ed is actually a week from today, so May 13th, and the topic is pain management. So thank you so much for attending tonight and listening in, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.